A man walks into the London Stock Exchange. The entire continent is at war. Napoleon's army is clashing with Wellington's forces at Waterloo. No one knows who's winning, except him. Nathan Rothschild stands at his usual pillar, stone-faced, silent. Then, he starts selling. British government bonds, everything. Fast. Panic erupts. Traders think Britain has lost. The empire is falling. They dump their bonds in terror. Prices collapse. But Rothschild isn't selling because Britain lost. He's selling because he already knows they won. And in the chaos, while everyone else is selling, his agents are buying everything back, at pennies on the pound. By nightfall, he's made what would be billions today. One family, one day, one piece of information. That's the moment the Rothschilds stopped being bankers and became something else entirely. A dynasty so powerful that kings bowed to them. So secretive that conspiracy theories still hunt their shadow 200 years later. But here's what they don't want you to know. They didn't just get rich. They invented the system that controls global money right now. So how did five brothers from a locked Jewish ghetto become the silent architects of modern finance? And why does their playbook look exactly like what central banks, hedge funds, and global institutions do today? Stay with me, because this isn't just history. This is the blueprint. Welcome to the Wealth Timeline, where we uncover how money, power, and history intertwine to shape the world we live in. The ghetto that built an empire, Frankfurt, 1744. Meyer Amschel Rothschild is born in the Judengasse, the Jewish quarter, a walled ghetto where 3,000 Jews are crammed into a narrow street, forbidden from owning land, banned from most professions, and locked inside after dark. But Meyer had something more valuable than freedom: information. He became a coin dealer. Rare coins, the kind European nobility collected obsessively, and every transaction gave him access to princes, to courts, to the men who controlled armies and treasuries. By 1769, Meyer Rothschild had earned the title of Crown Agent to Prince William of Hanau, one of the richest men in Europe. He didn't just sell coins. He sold trust, discretion, and eventually, loans. But here's the genius. Meyer knew that one man, one city, one country wasn't enough. So he did something unprecedented. He sent his 5 sons to the 5 financial capitals of Europe: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, Frankfurt, and he gave them one instruction: stay united, work as one house. It wasn't a business plan, it was a financial empire designed to outlast empires themselves. But how did 5 brothers, still outsiders in Christian Europe, outmaneuver the banks, governments, and aristocrats who had ruled for centuries? The network that changed everything. Here's what made the Rothschilds different. While traditional banks operated within borders, the Rothschilds operated across them. They created the world's first multinational financial network, a private intelligence system faster than any government. Nathan Rothschild in London could receive news from the continent via carrier pigeon, encrypted letter, or agent before the British Crown knew what was happening. And in 1815, that speed became legendary. Napoleon had escaped Elba. Europe was at war again. The Battle of Waterloo would decide the fate of the continent and the financial markets. Nathan Rothschild had agents at the battlefield. On June 18, 1815, as the battle raged, Rothschild knew the outcome before anyone in London. Wellington had won. Napoleon was finished. But here's where myth and reality blur. Legend says Nathan walked into the London Stock Exchange and sold British government bonds, triggering panic as traders assumed Britain had lost. Prices collapsed. Then, quietly, Rothschild's agents bought everything back at a fraction of the cost. Historians debate the details, but what's undeniable is this: Nathan Rothschild made a fortune that day. And it cemented the family's reputation as the most powerful financial force in Europe. Because while nations fought wars, the Rothschilds financed them. They loaned money to the British government to fight Napoleon, then loaned to the Prussians, then to the Austrians. They didn't pick sides, they picked leverage. By the 1820s, the Rothschilds were funding the independence of Brazil, underwriting the Greek War of Independence, and rescuing the Bank of England from collapse. They weren't just bankers. They were the central bank to central banks. And their method was elegant: sovereign bonds. Governments needed money to fight wars, build infrastructure, and stay in power. The Rothschilds would buy their debt, then sell it to investors across Europe, taking a commission on every transaction. It was a system where war became profitable and peace became a financial instrument. But here's the question no one asked at the time. What happens when one family controls the debt of nations? When the empire became a target? By the 1870s, the Rothschilds were the richest family on earth. They owned railways, controlled diamond and gold mines in Africa, financed the Suez Canal, and held influence over monarchs from London to St. Petersburg. But power like that doesn't go unchallenged. As nationalism swept Europe, the Rothschilds became a symbol, sometimes of modernity and progress, often of foreign control and Jewish conspiracy. Anti-Semitic pamphlets accused them of manipulating wars, of controlling governments, of running a shadow empire. Some of it was pure hatred, but some of it was rooted in an uncomfortable truth. The Rothschilds did hold extraordinary power over national economies. Then came the 20th century. World War I shattered Europe. The Russian Revolution confiscated the Rothschild assets in Russia. The rise of fascism in the 1930s forced the family to flee Austria and France. By World War II, the Rothschild Empire was fractured. The Nazis looted their palaces, burned their estates, stole their art collections. And when the war ended, the world had changed. Governments now controlled their own central banks. The Bretton Woods system created the IMF and World Bank. The age of sovereign debt dominated by private families was over, or so it seemed, because, while the name Rothschild faded from the headlines, the system they built became the blueprint for modern finance. The legacy that never left. Here's what most people don't realize. The Rothschilds didn't disappear. They evolved. Today, Rothschild & Co. is still one of the world's leading advisory firms, managing billions in mergers, acquisitions, and sovereign wealth. But more importantly, the system they pioneered is everywhere. Sovereign debt, it's now a $70 trillion market. Cross-border financial networks, that's the entire global banking system. Private intelligence used for market advantage. Welcome to hedge funds, geopolitical risk firms, and algorithmic trading. And the idea that a small group of institutions can influence the fate of nations? Look at the IMF, the World Bank, BlackRock, or Vanguard. The Rothschilds didn't just build an empire. They built the architecture of modern capital. And here's the uncomfortable part. We still live inside it. The hidden cost of power. So what do we take from this? First, information is the most valuable currency. The Rothschilds understood that whoever knows first controls the outcome. Second, the greatest empires aren't built on land. They're built on debt. Control the money, and you control the power. Third, systems outlast names. The Rothschild family may no longer dominate headlines, but the financial structures they created are the foundation of the world economy. Because in the timeline of wealth, every rise comes with a hidden cost. And sometimes, that cost is knowing who really holds the strings. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Wealth Timeline, and turn on the bell icon. Because history's next secret is already unfolding.